Hey, it's your cheerleader, confidant, and friend Sofie, and welcome to the Everything I Did Wrong podcast. Ever feel like life's just one big blooper reel? Well, guess what? You're not alone. This podcast is your guide so you don't make the same mistakes I did. And a reminder that failure and imperfection are all part of the learning process. Buckle up for a wild ride of real stories, raw conversations, and the kind of what were we thinking moments that make life interesting. Are you ready to change your life? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Everything I Did Wrong podcast. In this episode, I am diving into decision fatigue. And yes, that is a real thing. And you are probably experiencing it a lot more than you might think you are. That tired feeling that you have at the end of the day where you just want to curl up on the couch, watch some Netflix, just hang out, veg out, might actually be decision fatigue. But we'll see. And by the end of the episode, you'll be walking away with how to fix it. So I'm giving you the problem and the solution. Ever since I learned about this, it has completely changed everything for me. I used to come home feeling exhausted. I could not make a single decision. You could pretty much put two of the exact same things in front of me, and I would say, I don't know, just figure it out. I can't deal with this. Or like the many times I go into Sephora and it takes me, I kid you not, 30 minutes to an hour to pick out one product. I know it's crazy, but when you're making so many decisions every single day, and in fact, there is a study that came out that said we make 35,000, not 35, not 350, not even 3,500. We make 35,000 decisions a day, according to the National Institute of Health. That is a lot of decisions that we are making. That is a lot of yes, no. That is a lot of lunch, dinner, grocery store, going home early. Do I want to pick up the red pen or the blue pen? Do I want to walk out my garage or do I want to take the front door? A lot of the decisions that we truly don't even think about are contributing to this 35,000 number. And like anything, if you are doing so much of one thing, after a while you get sick of it. So imagine 35 repeats of super simple decisions, big decisions, in between decisions, so overly minute decisions, 35,000 of them, to where I'm sure at the end of the day, it can feel exhausting, just like me, to decide between do I want to go to bed at 10 p.m. or 10:05 p.m.? Such a small difference. But even those decisions become increasingly difficult as the day goes on. I have found, and I loved this episode. It was with Mel Robbins and Steve Bartlett, and they were talking about decisions. Specifically, that there are two different types of decisions. I'm going to talk about each type, and I'm also going to give some examples because one of these types of decisions, I thought, wow, I have a lot of decisions that fall into that category. This is not helpful. And then I really started to ask the right questions. And then I discovered that, oh, maybe one decision per week is falling into this category. Oh, okay. That completely changes everything and it will change things for you too. So, type one decision. A type one decision is that feeling of, oh my goodness, this is life altering. A type one decision is something that is big. It is a very big decision. It takes time to think through. Maybe you're doing the pro con list. A type one decision is moving across the country, starting a business, buying a house. A type one decision is something that you can't really take back, right? You can't really have an immediate fix to it. If you move across the country, that's not something that you can change overnight. That's not something that's an easy fix for you. That is something that takes a lot of planning, a lot of consideration, because you also have to find a place to live when you get there. Maybe you have to find a job. There's a lot of different moving parts that go into it. So, a type 1 decision is something that is life altering. And I mean truly life altering, not, oh, it's going to change my life for a day or for a week. I mean something that is going to change your life to where you're looking back a year from now and the outcome is going to matter. I'm going to say that again. A type 1 decision is something that you are looking back a year later and saying, yeah, that decision still matters. Growing up, we've all been told, at least I was told by my mom, she'd always ask me, is this going to matter a month from now? Heck, is this going to matter a week from now? And most of the time it didn't. So that was my way of being able to say, yeah, you know what? This isn't a big deal. This isn't a big decision. This is okay if I make a decision and it doesn't go my way because it's not going to matter a week from now, a month from now, maybe even a year from now. And so your type 1 decisions are the decisions that matter. Those are the decisions that a year from now, you're going to go, yeah, that was not a great idea. That really did mess some things up. Or you're going to say, oh my gosh, that changed everything. My life is so much better. Type 2 decisions are decisions that are pretty much the opposite of type 1. Decisions that you don't really need to put that much thought into. Decisions that you can not take back, but that you can backtrack. Meaning, if you make this decision, there is a way to get out of it. It is figure outable, as Marie Forleo says. There's a way for you to navigate it, for you to be able to make a secondary decision that fixes it, that combats it, or you're able to just forget about it because it doesn't really matter a day from now, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. Type 2 decisions are the most common decisions. I'm sure most of you are listening to this and thinking, Sofie, aren't type 1 decisions actually more common because everything affects your life and things matter? The truth is, type 2 doesn't necessarily mean that those decisions don't matter. It just means that those decisions are not so big and life altering that you can't fix it. That would be the best way that I can talk about type 2 is they're fixable, they're figure outable, they're navigatable. You can build a way to kind of get yourself out of it or to make sure you don't do it again. Some decisions that are type 2 that you might actually think are type 1, but they are not. And I'm going to explain why. A type 2 decision that for a very long time, I swore that it was type 1. I said, there's no way this is not a type 1 decision because this is life altering. This is going to change everything. A type 2 decision is getting out of a relationship. Getting out of a relationship that is toxic, that is not healthy for you, they're treating you bad, they don't respect you, all of these different pieces. Getting out of a bad relationship is a type 2 decision. Why? I'll tell you. If you're in a bad relationship, how many times a day do you think about leaving? I was in a very just truly awful relationship several years ago. And every day I thought about leaving. Every day we got into a fight. Every day that we had a little bit of a spat, or every day that he would say something and I would go, I don't think that was okay what he said. Every day I had thoughts of leaving. Some days they were more prevalent than others, but I still had thoughts of leaving. And so when it finally came time to leave, to break up, to say, I'm not doing this anymore, I didn't think through it. I didn't take the time to do a pro con list because deep down, I knew the answer. I knew that my gut was telling me, Sofie, you should have done this 8 months ago. That's a type 2 decision. Breaking up with a disrespectful partner, a disengaged partner, a toxic partner, just an all around bad partner, breaking up with them is type 2. Because first and foremost, you don't really need to think about it. And I know that's not a popular thing to say. I'm sure it won't be a popular thing to say. but you do not need to think about it because you're going to have that gut reaction. I know you are. If you are in a bad relationship out there and you are listening to this, I urge you to listen to that gut feeling. Listen to that thing inside of you that is saying, there's something not right here and I need to act on it. That is you trying to make a type 2 decision. That is you trying to make an immediate decision that you know is what's right. So a type 2 decision might not be, do I want pudding or do I want cake? It can be a bigger decision, but a type 2 doesn't mean that you need to dwell on it forever. A type 2 doesn't mean that you need to take hours and days to think about it. A type 2 doesn't mean that a year from now, you're going to look back and go, wow, that was such a dumb idea that I had. That was such a stupid mistake. Why did I do that? If you're getting out of a bad relationship, if you're getting out of a bad job, if you're getting out of a bad friendship, I can guarantee you a year from now, you will not be saying, wow, that was such a dumb idea for me to get out of this toxic workplace. I promise you. And you can quote me on that. And a year from now, you can send this episode to me because I promise you, a year from now, you will not regret protecting your space, your boundaries, your self worth, demanding the respect that you deserve, not just as you, but as a human being, as a person on this planet that is taking up space, that is breathing in air. You deserve respect. And so letting go of someone that doesn't respect you, your boundaries, your accomplishments, 5-second decision. Let them go. Just let them go. Now, if you're still a little bit confused on type 1, type 2, it's okay. It's a brand new concept. These things take time. There is a very simple practice that I use to distinguish what's type 1 versus what's type 2. So when I'm presented with a decision that's not a very, very, very simple, like, do I want oatmeal or do I want cereal for breakfast? I mean, things like, do I want to invest in this software for my business? Do I want to go on this vacation for 2 weeks? Do I want to go get this gym membership? Do I want to do this leadership workshop? But things like that, that typically we tend to ruminate over a little bit more. That is not, a 5-second click of a button decision to us, right? A decision that we internally will kind of weigh the pros and cons a bit. For me, I can do this for hours. I once spent 4 hours deciding if I wanted to sign up for ClassPass. Yes. For anyone that uses ClassPass knows ClassPass is super easy to cancel. It's super easy to have a free trial, all that stuff. I, for hours, did a pro con list on whether or not I should sign up for this gym membership thing. And I'm looking back and going, that was such a waste of time. Why did I do that? And that is a perfect example of something that I thought was type 1 fitting into the type 2 category. So the way I distinguish is when I'm presented with a situation like that, with a decision like that, I will ask myself, okay, if I make this decision, will I look back a year from now and go, that was a stupid decision. Why did I do that? Am I going to regret this decision a year from now? Is it even worth regretting a year from now? And if the answer is no, it gets moved to type 2. Maybe not fully in the bucket yet because there's still some questions you can ask, but pretty much you can right off the bat say that there's no way it's type 1. If you already know that a year from now it's not going to matter, or a year from now frankly there's no need to regret the decision or to look back and go, oh, that was stupid, then it's 100% not a type 1. To really solidify if it is type 2, you can ask yourself, okay, is this decision fixable? So, in the case of the ClassPass membership, all I have to do is hit cancel. All I have to do is cancel free trial or stop membership, stop subscription. That's it. I can fix that decision in a matter of seconds. Same thing with, let's say, software I'm investing in for my business. I can cancel that. I can go email the support specialist and say, we don't want to use this anymore. Get me out of this contract. I can say to a friend that I decided to stop talking to, I can still say hi to them. I can still slide into their DMs or send them a text or give them a call. I can still do that. I can still cancel a trip. And even if I went on a trip and went, oh my goodness, I wasted so much money on this trip, money can be earned back. So, thinking about type 2 decisions is if it is fixable, if there's a way to get yourself out of it, if there's a way to fix it afterwards, if there is a way to pretty much erase that it happened, it is 100% type 2. And this changes everything because how many of you are listening and going, oh my goodness, so that trip that I took, that I spent hours upon hours upon hours upon hours thinking through and deciding whether or not I should go, really didn't need that much thought? No. Oh, you mean that gym membership I was going to do, but I just couldn't decide and I was weighing the pros and cons and I, talked to my friend about it for a couple of days and I slept on it and I decided not to do it. That was actually type 2? Yep. It's crazy how much in our life is actually a type 2 decision, a decision that we do not need to spend the hours that we do, even the minutes that we do thinking through it. I love this phrase that Marie Forleo says, and she says, everything is figure outable. And if it's not, it is a life circumstance. And that could not be truer. And you will find that so much when you're making your type 1 versus type 2 decisions. That most things in life you can fix or you can figure out. And that makes it type 2, meaning all the stress we put ourselves through, the 35,000 decisions that we make in a day that lead to decision fatigue. All of those decisions don't need to be as hard as we're making them. And I know that it's causing all of us so much stress. I still do sometimes. I kick myself over how much I will spend on a decision, how much time I dedicate to something that doesn't really matter. We all do it, but it's something that we can very consciously work on. I don't know if we can 100% fix it right away, but we can all work on it. And so when we're making decisions and you start to understand what's type 1 versus what's type 2, the fantastic part about this is those type 1 decisions become infinitely easier because you won't be held down by all the type 2 decisions that you think are type 1 that are taking up your mind, that are taking up your internal space, that are taking up your life, your conversations, even. You'll have so much more space for the type 1 stuff, which is great for all my overthinkers out there, myself included, because that means that I actually get to really think through the type 1 decisions that matter, the ones that are truly going to change my circumstances. The last part I want to leave you all with, because this is also something I learned from that Mel Robbins and Steve Bartlett podcast, is even when you're making those type 1 decisions, you don't need to be 100% sure. You don't even need to be 60% sure. The 51% rule is super great to apply to those type 1 decisions. All you have to be is 51% sure. You just gotta know and then some. You don't have to have 100% certainty because there will not be 100% certainty in this life. I know it's hard to hear, but there is not 100% certainty in this life. I wish there was. It would make my life a whole lot easier and I would probably have less gray hair, but you will not have 100% certainty. And the second we accept that, it will make you go, you will take a sigh of relief. Do it with me right now. Come on. There is not 100% certainty in this life, in this world. and that's okay. Which means mistakes are part of life. It is engineered into life to make mistakes because we don't have 100% certainty, which means even if you're 51% sure, there is still that 49% that might happen, and that's okay. Mistakes are part of the process. And guess what? When you make a mistake, you typically don't make it again. So every single mistake that we make, every decision that you see, oh my gosh, that was such a bad decision. I failed flat on my face. I am the queen of failure. I get it. I have failed a lot. And I will talk about that in many more episodes. But even when you have those feelings, everything that you're failing at, everything that you're making mistakes in, is setting you up to be the better you than you were yesterday. It's setting you up to understand, so if this happens, this is going to happen. Okay, I won't put myself in that environment again. Or, when I'm around this person, I feel this way. So I'm feeling the same thing around this person. Something good is not going to happen. I'm going to take myself out of this situation. When I did that last time I led a team, I drove away a lot of my really talented staff. True story. I'm not going to do that again. All learning moments. And in that uncertainty, you get the learning moments, you get the change, you get the growth. So even if you're listening to this and saying, Sofie, this is great and all, I can figure out the types of decisions. I can figure out what's type 1, what's type 2, and I can figure out how to not spend so much time on the type 2 decisions. Great. But what happens when I make mistakes? What happens when I don't feel certain? What happens when I don't have 100% assurance that this is going to work out? And I have no answer for you because we don't know. And that is the beauty in it. That's the beauty in everything. Is we are all, this is going to sound so existential, but we are all on a journey of discovery. I know. I can hear my mom like saying, Sofie, this is just way too much at 6:00 in the morning for me to listen to. But I hope that this gives you a sense of grace for yourself. That when you make mistakes, when you are 51% sure, but you're afraid of making the decision because there is that other 49%. You just got to do it as long as you're 51% sure, because future you will thank you. Future you will thank you for being brave. They'll thank you for taking the opportunity to set future you up for success. And even if the decision doesn't work out, future you will thank you for the learning experience and for the opportunity to not make that decision again. So starting today, I am asking you all to do 2 things, and I'm going to do them too. I'm committing to this in front of all of you. First and foremost, start categorizing your decisions. Maybe it's on paper, maybe it's up in this noggin of yours, maybe it's talking it out with a friend, but start really categorizing your decisions. And you will soon see that there is so much in our life that is actually type 2, that we don't need to worry as much as we do. Second, you just got to be 51% sure. As long as you ask yourself and say, okay, am I at least 51% sure of this decision? That's all the percent sure that you need to be and that you can be. And so when you're making these decisions, give yourself some room for mistakes because they're bound to happen. But just rest easy knowing that you were at least 51% sure. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to something that could truly change your life. On that note, in case no one tells you today, you are capable of incredible things, and I believe in your strength, resilience, and your ability to create the life of your dreams. Now, all you have to do is believe too. I'll talk to you next week. Horrible intro. Let me restart. Okay. Go look it up. That made it sound like it wasn't real. Hold on. Red Bull, man. Red Bull. Gives you wings. Stopping a relationship. No, it's doing that again, Sam. Hey there, it's me again, and it's not to bring you more incredible, awesome, amazing content. I wish it was. It's time for the legal stuff. You know how it goes, the fine print and all that jazz. The Everything I Did Wrong podcast and all content shared by Sofie Lindberg and Sofie Lindberg International are provided for general informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. Now, while we have a blast here, it's important to remember that any information you get from this podcast or our website is at your own risk. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional diagnosis or treatment. So, if you've got any health concerns, please go chat with your healthcare pros. Cool? Got it? Awesome. Catch you in the next episode.